Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. Well, hi everyone. Welcome back. I'm in my studio today and I'm producing a painting from a trip. Well, it was just a walk really, because I live very close to Galleywood Common, and on the common there's a lovely little pub called the Horse Groom, and we decided to combine a picnic with a drink and something, so that's what we did. And the family and everyone else that's involved, and I made that little watercolour pencil sketch, just a little tiny one there like that. So now I'm back in the studio. I did a larger tonal version, so I've got the coloured version there, and of course we have the tonal version there, and as you can see, it's got all the elements we require. These will not be exact colours, because that's only a basic idea, but basically these are the tones that I shall use. Slightly different to this, but basically the tones, I've got darks around the back, a fairly light sky, and I've also got the building with the darker roofs but the very light frontage, and I've got figures. Now I want these figures to shine out, and the only way to do that is to produce dark tones behind them, so they're either dark, they've either got the dark tone in the background, which I have there, or the light tone against the slightly darker figures. But either way, I won't know until I start painting, so I suppose I ought to get cracking. I hope you enjoy watching. Well, I've got my normal setup of materials. I'm going to use 3 brushes, a large mop, a medium mop, and a rigger. My normal palette: burnt sienna, raw sienna, cadmium yellow, Windsor blue or Prussian blue, not sure, maybe a combination of both actually in there, and cobalt blue, ultramarine, French ultramarine, cadmium red, cadmium lemon, light red, burnt umber, Indian red. I have a alizarin crimson. The last 2 are not that relevant for this painting, but I've got the Payne's Grey, which is the artist quality Winsor & Newton, which you can mix some lovely greens with that, funny enough, because it's a bluey grey. And then I've got another cadmium lemon there. All I'm going to do now is to, got my water of course, is to lightly wet them up, just purely wetting up the paints. And this is a good tip actually, because if you're, if you haven't used them for, well, even half a day, this time of year when it's mild, you get they dry very, very quickly, so they will need just loosening up. Obviously if you squeeze them straight from the tube, then they're not, they're already supple, but if you've got cakes, or you're like me, you squeeze them and allow them to dry, then you really need to freshen them up. Anyway, that's those colours. I will freshen that one up just for the sake of it, and there you have it. Good. Well, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the large mop brush, and I'm going to mix with plenty of water cadmium red and cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon, to create a lovely orange colour. And see that orangey yellow colour. Got a little bit of red in there, and I'm painting around the chimneys at this stage. I've not damped the paper. I'm just going straight in because it will dry quicker that way, and I want it to dry fairly quick because I don't want to hang around too long while it's drying. I'm not a great lover of using a hairdryer myself. I know lots of people do, but anyway, that's that. And a little bit more this side. It's over that tree, it's not a problem. And down, painted around the buildings. Just make certain that stays damp, because there's a reason for that, and all will become clear very shortly. Right, there you go. And I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to that, and I'm going to paint the foreground, including some of the figures, and let those run, in actual fact all of the figures and that area. There you go. See how they've warmed up? And as I come forward, I'm adding a little bit more yellow, almost straight from, there you go, look at that. And a little splash of the cadmium red there too. Look at that in the foreground. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put a splash of that as well under the figures. There you go. Look at that. So that is, it's a little strong, so just blend that through. Lovely. Look at that. Yeah. That'll gradually soften back. Now, the next part, that's all the warm areas. I've got to put blue in the sky shortly, but not at this stage, letting it dry. Now I'm cleaning the brush. Now I need something, a colour that's quite cool. Do you know what I'm going to use? I'm using the Windsor blue or Prussian blue. Fairly weak, not too strong. Bearing in mind it's a big brush and hold a lot of water as well. And I'm going to drop in, those trees are going to be cool in colour. So to get them cool, I'm starting off with a blue, and if you notice, I'm painting in quickly where it's to create a soft edge, a blurred image. So I'm going off with the blue now. So there's a blue there. There we go. Just try and lift a bit of that running away. And a blue tone here. It's gone a bit hard edged, but doesn't matter. Oh, it's nice round there, still nice and soft. There you go. Look at that. Round the chimney. And out to the outer edge. There we are. Just watch those runs. Just got to keep an eye on those. Don't want them to run down if I can help it. So I'm just losing a bit of moisture off my brush and finally lifting those away. You can work with another brush if you know, lightly damped to lift off, but this is the way I do this. So that's cool. I'm not stating a term there, I'm just saying it's a cool colour. And so that's that, which has gone in quite well. Shouldn't get any run backs. It wouldn't be great. Wouldn't be the end of the world if we did. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting, because I'm going to use this blue colour again for the actual front of the building. Has a blue tint. So I'm going to start off with this. It may even be the finished colour. Who knows? Let's try this in the distance. Oh, well, there you go. So now we're looking for cool colours. So we're looking for cool colour there. There you go. And I'm going to paint around the windows because they are white. And I'm working, if you work with a large brush, A, you don't really pick up you know, too much in the way of detail, and B, you can lay on so much colour so quickly. But I'm going around the parasols like that. So the parasols will at this stage remain unpainted, and so will the figures. Like that. I'm leaving a jagged edge around those figures. There we go. Right, let's try and get in here before it dries. Nice to have a nice clean wash of colour if you can for these first washes. There we go. And I'll write across there, over the tops of those figures. Right, now I've done that, I'm going to use the other mop brush with some, just a touch of this warm tone that I did in the foreground, just to finish off the bottom of that where them figures are. Go. Because I want those to actually shine out light amongst the rest of the scene. Let's just pick off a bit of colour there. It's blobbed. Okay, now I'm continuing with the blue. So the theme here is warm and cool colours, and that is pretty much all I'm trying to do. Particularly at this stage, there will be I've still got some warm tone to put in the roof tiling because that is warm, but other than that it's coming along quite well. Just go around the windows, even in the shaded area at this stage. There we are, it's holding line quite nicely. I've got a blob there I may need to attend to. In actual fact, I'm going to pull that across into the building. There we go. Look, I've got rid of it like that, and that one comes down there like that. And right, yeah, that's that. Is there a small bead under there? There may be before we get to the roof. There we go. And that comes like that. And around, just have a little bit there. A little bit there like that. Paint these in separation. That's it. Paint that separate as well. That's a bush or shrub. There we go. We've got the steps. And then you've got the window area here, which comes down like that. I have a light bead across the top there and across the top there, but not too concerned with that. Touch that side, and then I'm leaving a bit of white on top of that roof area. It's actually not white, but I'm leaving that purely to give it a sense of strength and a sense of light just hitting that that area. That's about all it does. And what I'm going to do there, I'm going to leave some touches around the lovely old little bench there. Just going to run through like that and paint underneath. That gives us a chance to have some little light touches on that. That runs like that. Good. See the theme, warm and cool colours have gone in to, oh, hang on one moment, that chimney, good job I spotted that. Anyway, warm and cool colours have gone in because that chimney is painted, or rendered, sorry, and painted. Yeah, warm and cool colours basically. So that's the start of my idea for this, for the Horse and Groom pub. Now I've changed to my other mop brush, the smaller one, because I'm going to do the roof areas now, and I'm going to use burnt sienna for that, because although the roof is It's going to be darker than that shortly, but it is of a warm tone, so that will take a little bit of shadow, that area there, and we come down like that. So that's basically that the start of the roof colour. Okay, and then we're going on to here. There we go. I'm leaving just a bead of white along the top, perhaps you touch down that edge, but not it's not vital, but I just feel it gives a bit of a nice little punch to that. There we go. So that's that, just mopping up the, and of course this porch roof with its hips that give it the character. I'd like to see that in porch roofs, or indeed little extension roofs as well. There we go. So that's that done. Oh, and I'm going to put that onto there as well. There's a little area of roofing there for the small extension that runs away. And I'm going to add a touch of the blue to that now, because I need to cool it off for the roof area, because I don't want this roof area in the back to come forward. So there you go. That's set it back quite nicely. May not be the final colour, but at least it sets it back. These are just preliminary washes really of colour. Now for the parasols, I'm mixing, funny enough, two blues, cobalt blue and Windsor blue, and going in this side for that, which is quite dark, a little bit of light, some sort of writing on there of some sort, not sure what, but there you go. And right, let's do this side first. This is the darker of those colours, like that, and that comes through to there. Get all the darker colours out of the way first, more or less the shadow side, I suppose. That's the way I would suggest that is. And just some little touches of white, little bit of advertising, that's all, but it's nice to be left. Right, now I'm weakening that colour so it's considerably lighter, and I'm going to blend it through to the sunlit side. There we go. There you go. And just a touch on that. It gives us two tones, which I think suits the look of those parasols. Gives a bit of a light touch, and yeah, I think that's okay for that. Now while that's drying, I've cleaned the brush, and I'm just going to damp that area that runs where those figures are. Then I'm going to change brushes and use the large mop brush, and this time I'm putting cadmium lemon in to start the green. Well, it's not green because as you can probably see from the introduction, that we ended up with quite sad grass. There's very little rain we've had here in Galleywood, so that warm tone will come through. I'm adding a little bit of green to that, a little bit of blue to that, and then I'm just going to sweep across fairly quickly, because I don't want to cover everything. I want that to have a bit of that earthiness to it. There you go. That's it. So that gives us a sense that there is some green tones there, albeit with some warmth underneath. Now I'm using Windsor Blue for the blue in the sky, and that will also tint the paper. So that's the Windsor Blue for the blue in the sky, and I'm painting over those. That'll help tint, but I'm leaving 1 or 2 little patches, don't want too many, just to indicate a little bit of wispy cloud work. There we go. Now to that Windsor, I'm adding raw sienna, because I'm now going to paint in to that this rather sort of dull green, and that will give me my soft edge for the trees in the distance. Not worried about that side at this stage. I can go hard edge there, but it's just some soft edges that I want to introduce in that area. There we go. So that's the green that just goes around that corner. There we are. Perfect. Now I'm adding a little bit more yellow, a little bit more blue, and in particular a bit more blue to give me a stronger green. And I'm painting around the building. Oh, there's a chimney there. Let's paint around that now. We didn't early on, but it doesn't make any difference. And not too worried about perfectly straight edges. It's not my we'll go around that roof. I painted over that earlier, but it's not a problem. And now I'm going to use quite a bit of blue now, and just drop back in to try and get some varying tones to that, and just pick around the roof area. There's another roof there that I've left out, but it'll be okay. I can tint that later. You know, I'm not trying not to, as it were, paint by numbers. You know, I'm trying to give it a sense of interest. Right, there you go. So that's pretty much as I planned that side. Now into that same Prussian blue, or in this case Windsor Blue, I'm going to use cadmium yellow, still running with the bluer sort of feel. And now I'm painting. What I'm going to do, I'll show you in a sec. I'm painting around the building. There's a chimney there with chimney pots. Right, and then I'm painting up into that sky, which is now dry. Okay. Okay. Now, it would have been nice if I could have had that, just that little bit, how can I put it, a little bit softer. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to use my mop brush, lightly damped, and just soften 1 or 2 areas. Just let that bleed in. So I'm just damping it and allowing that to bleed in its own way, really. Just gives that sort of, I don't know, it just gives it a more distant feel. Wouldn't do it to anything in the foreground, but gives it that distant feel. And it's quite a strong green, that, considering I'm in the distance, but That's okay. I don't know whether I've got 2 or 3 chimneys there, can't remember, but we'll disguise that, and that way it could be either. It's what you have to do sometimes if you can't remember. There you go. Or of course you can take a photograph, but which I have got, but I'm not referring to that at this stage. I'm purely referring to sketches. Right, so that's that. Right, now I'm adding a little bit of burnt sienna to that. So it's burnt sienna to that mix of green, a little bit more blue, and that will give me a darker, slightly earthier green. See that? And that is what I'm looking for as it runs out of picture. Because I want something darker as that runs out of picture, that side. What I've done to that side of the chimney, finishing there, I'm going to do to this side. It's always a good thing to do. Otherwise it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look as if it's pulling it all together. Now I'm adding an awful lot more blue to that, so it will be considerably darker. And notice while it's still wet, I always try and keep it wet at this stage for this particular application. Not too worried about that being dead straight. There we are. A bit more blue and a bit more brown, less water, and finally you end up with quite a strong mix of green. There we go. And it just looks a bit weird there, so let's just bring that level like that. There we go. And of course you need to allow that to dry to appreciate the colour that you've painted on. Now while that is completely drying off, now I'm going to go over for some dark stuff here. And I'm starting off with quite a lime green for the tops of this bush that's here. I think just allow that to pull together. There we go. So you've introduced a bit of that blue into that. Brilliant. I think the theme, as I said earlier, is to actually get a sense of darks and lights, and just going to try and just rub like that. Try and get tops of that slightly uneven, and that's it, a bit more spiky. There we go, because it is like a hedge type. Right, now I'm adding more blue and more burnt sienna, so plenty of the blue, plenty of the burnt sienna, because this is going to go dark very, very quickly, particularly behind that parasol. There we go. Even more blue going in. It's the blue that makes it. Once you add more yellow, it turns lighter again. There we go. And now we can pick up, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to add more burnt sienna with that and more blue, because that should make it really, really dark. There we go. And just leaving a bead on the top of that, and not so much this side, but just use the point. Well, I don't know, perhaps I will leave a bead on the top there as well. Gives it a shine. Got the overhang there, and then we come down the side of that parasol like that, and underneath where we don't have any beads of colour, I've just left, going to leave the support for that, and that comes around there like that, and that finishes there. See the way I'm trying to get light onto that particular subject, you know, that particular area. And to achieve that, I'm going dark. Right, now I'm painting down, leaving the pole unpainted. And then, oh, let's just go back over here. There we go. I could do with making that a little bit lighter in a second, but I hope I don't get caught out here. I think I can paint this before that. And I'm just going to go that side as well. And underneath there, lovely. And I'm painting around the figures. So the shapes I'm leaving are the shapes of the figures, which I'm hoping will suggest what I'm looking for. There we go. 2 figures there. There was meant to be 3, but that didn't work out, so there you go. There's 1 figure there. Not being too specific, but don't make the heads too large. That's what you've got to be careful of with figures. I'll tint those later. Brilliant. Now we run along the bottom there where the shadow is, like that, as it runs out of picture to the right. Then I'm going to clean the brush here, try and get rid of a lot of that colour, and I'm putting a yellow in, very weak, and blending that on the paper. There we are, and just let that bleed around like that. Brilliant. Perfect. And then going back in with plenty of blue, just to disrupt that, give it a bit of an additional life. There we are. And that shows up, that parasol, quite nicely. Just got to watch that doesn't get too, there you go. Parasol quite nicely. Yeah, we'll let that dry and analyse the situation. Right, there we go. Now I'm going to paint the benches that are more or less the same colour as the brollies. So you've got a cross section like that, and then you have the legs coming down there like that, goes along a bit further, and then you've got the seating area there. Now those figures will eventually be blended with that. So this one I'm leaving 1 2 little gaps. This one is nearer to the building, as you can probably see. I'm leaving 1 or 2 gaps to suggest the legs there. These 2 may be standing up, but they're all behind the bench, and this one is a little nearer to us as well, I believe. There we go. Oh, and then we've got this one, but this one I'm leaving just 1 or 2 gaps, because those figures then can stand either near to us or farther away, and that just depends on how we get to that. Figure could be standing in front, and that figure could be sitting there. Here we go. Let's watch where they stand. That's good. Okay, so that is those put in, and the same colour, not that one, I'm leaving that, is going to be used for the brolly posts, and they're not too thick. That's a bit thick, that one, but and it goes at a bit of an angle, as they sometimes do, which or this can be lights against darks, darks against lights. Yeah, a bit more cobalt blue going in here. because I've got to put in a little bit of capping. I don't know whether that was ideal, but it is here anyway. That's it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint in this darker colour, so this is more or less the shadow area, like that. So we've got 3 tones now. You've got the light, medium, and this is the dark tone that I'm painting in there. So you've got light, medium, and then the dark part of the parasol going in there. Just see the rib, perhaps not. Just lose that with the finger. There we go. And then of course underneath it could possibly be dark. Well, that's the way I've depicted it anyway. And this one I might leave as it is at the moment, because could be that it's not actually that dark. Now there's a bush here that's got to go in, starting off with a very light green, bit of raw sienna gone in there with cadmium yellow, and that overhangs out that, and it also goes like that, so that overhangs the area there. Now I'm going in a little darker, so a little bit more blue being added. I don't want this to be too dark, but I want it to pick up a bit of punch. Yeah, could always add shadow. Yeah, it could be dark enough. Could try a little bit more blue now. Have to be careful because I do like my dark colours, and quite often I wish I hadn't when I've done it, but there you go. Yeah, that's okay. And then we do have a bush that stands here. I don't want that to go out of picture, so that's like just a dark colour. There is a window there, but that's just holding in. In actual fact, that sits a bit forward, sits on that grass there, which is interesting. Overhangs that window. There we are. And when they sit like that, I find the best way, this rigger's damp, is just to blend it. And that way, it doesn't matter about, I know it's contradicting the shadow because the sun's coming from the right, but see the way it sits on the ground and not, or sits in the ground and not specifically on the ground. Now it's the windows. Well, I'm using cobalt blue with a touch of raw sienna in there. And let's do the ones at the front. And I'm trying, this is my normal, those of you that have seen me paint windows, this is what I tend to do initially anyway, to get the feeling of sort of like, I suppose it could be slight reflection of the sky. These are a bit smaller, and I'm trying to get a little feel that there's some sort of framing left. That's why I'm leaving the frame white, at least most of it. Not always possible to leave it all, but that's the idea of the looseness. That's what I want. That's always what I wanted to paint. My paintings to be rather on the loose side, and it's got to be watch we don't get that too complicated there. There we go. So that's those windows. Yeah, they will be deepened later, but at the moment they're fine. And we have the same in the shaded side, but of course they're going to be considerably darker. So I'm adding to that a red which I think is going to be cadmium red. Yeah, and that'll create considerably darker blue. How many panes of glass have we got here? I don't know. Not really worried. There we go. It's going to be in the shadow anyway. That's one pane of glass. And then these are on the sunny side, but they're going in darker. Just to, I don't know, just make it ring the changes. I would like to ring the changes to things. Don't look too consistent. Now we have, and I'm getting very excited, I don't know why, this colour is going in there. There's a lot of reflection and you can just see the background through this window, and that's what I want, a lot of reflection, because I'm painting the background later on. Yeah, that's okay. Yep, we don't have a problem with that. And while I have this colour, I'm now going to give these a bit across the top and down the right hand side. That'll give a little bit more balance to those windows. There we are, leaving the first wash of colour on there. Across the top, down the right, across the top, down the right, and all of a sudden got that lovely sense of sunlight, hopefully, catching the frames. There we go. Could be a second tone across the top and down the right there. Perfect. So that's the start of the window areas. Now I have done a little bit of work to that to the background, because we can see inside there, right? So that's inside. That will be revealed. That's the same colour as the actual frontage. That will all be revealed once we paint the shadow inside that that opening. So at the moment it looks rather flat. Just see the panes of glass of the large windows, but that will all be sorted very shortly. I'm going to use light red here now on the point of this brush for the, I know for a fact that those steps are like a terracotta tile. So that's the reason for that colour. And notice how I've left a bead of white on top to allow the shine. It's the only way to really show those steps, because without that you haven't really got a sense of steps. Oh, and while we have this colour, the bench is that sort of colour too, but it's black apart from the back and the seat area. So I'm putting this in while I have it, and then I'll tint in the black arms and legs. Now I'm going to go in here now with some colour for the figures. I want to make a little more of, I think these could very well be standing up. Nice red t-shirt this summer. Just lift a bit of that away just with a dry brush. It's not too powerful, but I wanted the red. There we go. The other figure is going to be cobalt blue. So, and that figure is just sort of don't want the brush too loaded, and the arm is coming forward. I think we'll put t-shirts on these, so the arms will be of a flesh colour. That's good. And do we want another blue one? Possibly here, leaving a nice bit of warmth on the other side of that figure, on the sunlit side. Now, right, yeah, alizarin crimson. Let's use a bit of that too, for that figure. Now, these are nowhere near the colours that I actually saw, but I'm using the colours to balance the picture. So colours will vary because I need to give a variety. Now a bit of yellow, real good cadmium yellow. That's a bit green, but this is cadmium yellow. That's going to be for that figure there, that figure there. So, and of course, we always have the black, don't we? Or the very warm tone, so it's a blue and a red. So it's not really black, but it's a blue and a red. To give, don't want to touch those, or this one there that could be darker. And we'll darken up that one there. There we go. And of course, the heads and arms, I'm actually going to use burnt sienna for this. I just like the idea, being summer, not too dark, being summer, we're obviously, now that's not working, that's come up green. Ah, right, just a matter of cleaning your brushes. There's a good lesson. Clean the brush. See? Right, now let's try and pick up a bit of that burnt sienna. Let's have another go. Right, arms. Legs, possibly. There we are. Head of that figure, possibly. Head of that figure a little bit. The arms there. Hinting at legs. There we go. And also some of the figures could be like a brown, dark brown, burnt umber for the hair as much as anything, I suppose. Oh, let's not go too dark with that. Dark headed figure there. This one's looking away, that's all right. That one there. I think that suggests figures quite nicely. Now I'm just going to put some dark colour for the bench, and as I say, blue and a red, and we've got the arm and the leg, and then we got the arm there and the leg there, and we do the same here. Slight slope to these areas, and then we have the arm coming across and then the leg there. And once we get some shadow work on that, I think it'll be fine. Good. Okay, well, I've done one or two little things that just while he was away, one or two additional bits to the figures. The little bush there, a little bit of warm colour in the background, chimney pots, just put that chimney in. But other than that, shorts on the figures, and an indication of legs and that sort of thing. Oh, and I've put the good old sign in. I've just got to put the figure in, and it's obviously the horse and groom. So we've got the horses depicted. Now we've got the groom that's having problems controlling the horse. I think that's basically what that's all about. Yeah, now we're getting towards the finishing touches. But just before we do finishing touches, of course, we've got shadows to go in. That is, to me, one of the most important parts of the picture. And the first shadow I'm going to put in is on that side there, on the big shadow to that building. Now, the shadow colour, I'm using a cool shadow colour, certainly on the building, probably will on the rest, but let's get the building out of the way first. Cobalt blue with a touch of alizarin crimson. So that's the shadow colour for that big area on the side of the building, like that. That seems to work. So now I've got the confidence to go over in other places, and that's of the overhang of the tiles there. Not too much to that there, like that. Then there is an overhang from the roof line there, and I'm putting quite a sweep on that, and it's going right the way over everything there. There's a hair there, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. It shouldn't really go back, but I did. So there you go. That's something to learn. Down the right hand side of the windows there, and across the top to give them a reveal, and down the right. Immediately they come away from that, they just stand away really. Across the top, down the right hand side, and there is a sill, so I'm going to put a shadow there with an upright, a shadow there with an upright. You can do all this with the rigger, you know, the main rigger. And there will be a sill there presumably, although that I'm not quite sure of. Good. Oh, now this is where it gets really exciting. The actual shadow, right, now there's a shadow there from the overhang of the roof. I'll put that in fairly big, so this side has got to be the same, and it goes to there, so that's got to be of the same width to marry up. Right, now I'm going to show a lower sun, and that's going to be in shadow too, that hip, and that comes down there like that. I think that's how it would come, but it's in there now. Right, allow that to dry. I'm going to put a shadow down there too, and under there, down by the windows as well. Just pick off a bit of colour. I think the brush is dry enough to pick off colour there. Oh, and across the top and down the right hand side there, and of course the sill. Could be little sills here. I'll put those in. Yep. So that's okay. That's all looking pretty nice. I like the cool shadow, and this one is in shadow to there, but because that turns, I'm going to use the rigger, whoops, catching the thingy, to soften that, because that goes into the sunlight, and hopefully you should be able to see the turn then, all being well. Good. It's just be a little darker down that back edge. There we are. And we would then see shadow inside that doorway, and that would be quite a depth. Also, that would go right away over that. That's it. and then the shadow inside that door well, right, and probably to about, well, it goes quite well down, one would have thought. So that's what I'm treating it, fairly well down like that. And then this wall would cast possibly a shadow there, just making it up as we go along. I'm going to put a pillar in there for no reason other than to add interest. Now this would cast a shadow across the steps, like that. There we go. All very interesting, isn't it? Isn't this sort of thing very interesting? Now, shadow under the bench, and I'm going to depict it as close enough to create a shadow up the wall. I think that's depicted that okay. When it dries, it will. Now, this is the really exciting. Oh, hang on. That chimney, must get that in shadow. Try not to go too dark this time with my shadows, for no reason than to try and keep the light. Chimney there. Yeah, that's okay. I'll just bring that up right, not laying about. Oh, there would be a shadow there. Oh, and there's a shadow come from there across the roof. I want to keep these fairly weak. Right, now that would all be in shadow as far as that gable end there. Right, yeah, that's okay. Let's give a nice bit of light to that. Now, I'm adding a little more red now to the cobalt, just to make it a bit more warm, just give it more of a warm feel. Oh, the bottom of that bush there, or shrub, bottom of that one there, and that would in turn cast a shadow onto the wall. So immediately that stands away from the wall, and that would go round there like that, behind there, behind there, behind there, and all behind there. It's all got to connect up, because if it doesn't, you don't get the beauty of that. There we go. I think that sums that little area up quite nicely. What else have we got? Right, now I'm mixing up a little bit more because I need enough to cover the area. Don't want it too dark. A little bit on the red side would be nice. Let's try that and see how we get on. Now, yeah, let's see how we get on. Let's just sweep that across. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I can see that immediately. Now we've got shadow coming across there like that. Right, just got to watch this running out of picture. Now that would in turn shadow at the back, but not where the figures sit at this stage. Then we have shadow underneath the figures, right, and of course the parasol. Now that would cast a shadow across there, which is always very interesting. Could even be the parasol does that. There we go. That's what I love about this. Oh, the figure's legs would cast a bit of a shadow. That's nice. Good. In theory, the figures are in shadow, but we're going to forget about that at this stage, because I think we've got enough on our plates to before we deal with that. Right, there we go. That's the parasol shadow, or that's my prediction anyway. That's it. Now this one is just purely the figures, because they are further away. Just like that. There you go. Nice bit of light. Now this is underneath the figures again, and they're like that. Little touches. Then we've got the parasol, and this parasol will probably cast a shadow over there, but perhaps not the bush. Well, that's my theory. Anyway, there we go. I think we can get away with that. And this is what I say, it's all a matter of what we can get away with and what we can't, really. And I'll tell you something, I'm just going to soften that a little bit. There. Just as that enters that area. That's it. There we go. Don't know, it just required that, I think, for some unknown reason. There you go. Now I do have a shadow coming across the foreground, and this is going to be quite warm too, and same colours, and that's from trees on the other side that are running out of picture to the right there. So what I need to do for that, because they're so far away, I need to damp the paper and pull that shadow into there, into a damp area, because that way it's going to give me a soft edge. Right, now that's that. Now I also need another damp area just there, I think. So we've got soft and hard edges. So there's a soft edge there running like that. Then we've got a hard edge running into a soft edge. And then this here, let's just pull that all together. And I'll tell you what, I like just a bit of softening of that there too. Just a bit of softening of that. There we are. Lovely atmospheric feel to this lovely old pub on the common. It's well worth a visit, actually, if you are in the area. Galleywood Common, the Horse and Groom, always worth a visit. And a bit more blue now. No, a bit more blue, just pushed into that. There we are. So we've got a little stronger blue. It's only the cobalt, so that's not particularly strong cobalt, so you can't, I don't think, spoil too much there. And even just a little bit more, let's just pick up pure cobalt. There we go. That just gives that bit of, that'll dry, you know, it's not going to dominate the picture at all. Okay, now we're into finishing touches. Now for the finishing touches, we've got almost a black, so but we don't want it too strong, so I'm using the Windsor blue with a touch of the alizarin crimson. Now the black, just watch I don't go on anything that's still damp, is the gutter area. It's actually under the gutter there. Just watch we don't get that too there's a bit of a gutter area there that we can see. That's it. And what else have we got? Oh yes, we're under there like that, and that extends right the way out down there. A little bit of angle to that. Oh, round the sign. A little bit dark. Not that dark. Will dry up, of course. Lighter than that, which is a bonus in this case. There we go. It's actually a round plaque there. Just got to watch that corner because that's still damp. And what I'm doing, I'm putting in the underside and the shadow, not so much the sunlit side. So that's the plaque there. And yeah, we do have this dark colour again. In actual fact, whoops, I may have to go over some of that again because it is quite dark. I haven't depicted it that black actually. So let's have another go at this. Yeah, there we go. I think you'll find that is a little bit more in keeping with the colour that it is. Whoops, go too high up, Colin. And oh, there we go. Another area there. That's the gutter again. That's the well, the black edging really. It's not necessarily the gutter, but it's combined with the gutter. The maul stick isn't helping a great deal here, but there we go. Away you go. That's okay. That's fine. Oh, and there is a small gutter area on that, or black area anyway, like that. It's okay. Good. Just trying to think where else. Don't want to do it for the sake of it, but perhaps these windows, perhaps not. You know, there are times when you decide that possibly it's not the ideal thing to do, so I ease back there. The inside, whoops, the inside there of that door frame, of that window opening, the inside there, the inside of that, there we go. That tells us, just be a little bit darker, that tells us that we do have a door opening there. I think you'll find that does the trick for that. That's it. Just extend that just a little deeper. Go. We're nearly there, I think. I think that shows that building up pretty well. Oh yeah, bit of green on the palette now, so I've picked a bit of that up, and oh, we've just got to be a bit careful there again. Steady on. It's a soft and subtle picture. Just rub that through. There we go. And this is just a little bit of edge along the where what is grass as such, but it's quite sad business. There we go. I don't think we need to do too much more than that. I'll let it dry for a moment and take the surround away. Well, there we have it, the Horse and Groom on Galleywood Common. Taking the surround away, just going to sign this, and unusually for me, and I'm just starting to sign my pictures slightly differently. And remember this is September 2024 is when I changed my signature, and all I'm going to do is to put Steed in a stylized way. And as you can see, I haven't even practiced that. And there you have it. The first time I've signed a painting in that way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed it, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And obviously, if you need notifications, which is always a good thing to do. Connect up with the notifications, and then you just get a little pop-up when I upload more videos. So thank you all for watching. Take care and happy painting.